I grew up in church. I grew up singing in church. I grew up going to Sunday school. I did believe certain things about Islam that, are the truth is coming out to me now, but I did believe a lot of things because of what I was around. When I went to him on my first trip, I would see him praying in front of me, and then I would hear the call to prayer. And those two things were just very powerful for me. I remember feeling this sense of peace just over my soul, a whole lot of peace that I got from that, hearing the call to prayer and then watching him pray. I was just like, it's just this seems so, something about this is peaceful to me, and I need it, but I really needed to go talk to an imam. So I did. And I met with him, and he answered every single question that I had. And we talked for 2 hours, and he just made it all very clear to me. And I didn't have any more questions after that. So that day, I took my Shahada in October. I am very thankful that Allah has saved my life and Islam saved me. And I am very happy to continue on with this journey. Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. I am going to talk about my journey to Islam today in this video. So if you're new here, welcome, and make sure you like and subscribe below. And thank you a lot for those of you who have come back and watched our videos. I just wanted to take a moment to say that I appreciate you guys. It's kind of hard for me to make a lot of the videos that I want to make because Sofian is still in the process of coming here to be with me, inshallah. But today I wanted to talk about my journey to Islam. And no, it wasn't because he made me. That is usually the first misconception. And I think it's funny actually now because I want to tell my backstory. So I grew up in a household of Christian parents. I grew up Christian in a Southern Baptist home. We believed in the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost. My dad is a minister who went to seminary. He also went to a Christian college. And so, that's kind of what I grew up around. My grandma, churchgoer, also Southern Baptist, Woods, Alabama. So I grew up in church. I grew up singing in church. I grew up going to Sunday school. I grew up going to retreats with the youth group. I spent a lot of time in worship. I do sing. So I worshiped. I was in praise and worship for years and years. And I grew up with parents that are unfortunately Fox News watchers. And I feel like they were very influenced in the wrong way about Islam. Obviously, I grew up around that too. And I did believe certain things about Islam that the truth is coming out to me now, but I did believe a lot of things because of what I was around. First, that I I actually grew up believing that Muslims didn't believe in an afterlife. That's kind of what I was taught. But, I get the Muslims are terrorists kind of thing. That's kind of what I grew up around, and that was it. So for me, it was kind of like a taboo subject. I had never known anybody that was Muslim until I met my husband, which I'll get to. But I had never been around another Islamic culture or Muslim people. I just grew up in the background of what you were taught, and that was it. And maybe a few years ago, I'm 35 now. I'm sorry. My birthday's in a couple days, but I'm 34, and like I said, I did praise and worship. And for one, have 3 sons out of wedlock. So I want to tell this story because it's important to understand kind of where I come from first. So, or why I chose Islam. So I was at a church. I was doing praise and worship, and I have 3 sons. And fortunately, life didn't go as planned, how I wanted it to go. I was drinking a lot for years and years and years. And I bring my sons up because I was at a church not too long ago, maybe a few years back, and I wanted to sing in the praise and worship. And the pastor brought me into the office and he told me to my face that he didn't want his congregation to be influenced by me because I was a mother out of wedlock. And I immediately felt judged. I couldn't believe that anybody would be telling me this. I thought God forgave me for my sins. He obviously helped me create these boys. So I felt like it was a opportunity for me to share my story with people versus being shunned, that I shouldn't be on stage in front of people because I wasn't married and I had 3 sons. And now that I'm telling this story, I'm like, I really can't believe he said that to me. So at that point, I decided that I was done with church because I felt that there was a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that are lurking in church. And I grew away from the church about 3 years ago. Excuse me. So because of that, I didn't want to step foot in another church after that. I still believed in God. I always believed in God. That has never gone away from me since I was a child. I have always believed there was a higher being, there was a God. That was very true to me. But because of this pastor, I never stepped another foot in another regular church. I just couldn't. I didn't believe that I belonged there anymore. So I hadn't gone to church for like 3 years. I was in a really bad relationship after that. And I started to drink a lot. And I mean, I had been drinking since I was 13, but at this point in my life, I was drinking like a lot. And I was getting really depressed. And at this point, this is kind of when, I'll tell this story too in another video when Sophia's with me, but he came in my life at a point when I was very, very low. So, and he saved me. God saved me. Allah saved me. So he came in my life at that point and we were just talking, and the way that he was very, very happy, very grateful, which really I was very drawn to. He was very grateful. He always had positive things to say to me when I was feeling like at my lowest. He would tell me he needed to go pray. And this is when we're on the phone video chatting. And I was like, okay, this guy is Muslim. I don't know anything about Muslim people. And I decided to start kind of looking up, like, okay, if I'm going to get to know this guy, I really need to know his religion, because I'm not going to date somebody and I don't know anything about what they got going on. So I started to kind of Google the pillars of Islam, just basic information, not really getting all of it. I was just like, oh, okay. So I understand the 5 pillars of Islam now. So this was before I went to him. So when I went to him on my first trip, I would see him praying in front of me, and then I would hear the call to prayer. And those 2 things were just very powerful for me. I remember feeling this sense of peace just over my soul the whole whole lot of peace that I got from that, hearing the call to prayer and then watching him pray. I was just like, it's just this seems so, something about this is peaceful to me, and I need it, you know? And I decided when I came back, I was going to fast during Ramadan. And actually, a little bit before that, I started to come off of drinking alcohol because Sofian would tell me I didn't need it. And it wasn't because of Islam or anything at that point. He was just reassuring me that I didn't need it. And but once I found out about digging more into Islam, I decided to quit drinking. And nothing has ever made me want to do that. So at that point, Ramadan was coming, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into Ramadan like I'm with my husband. So I fasted the whole month of Ramadan in 2021. And it wasn't easy, but I will say I got used to it, and I wanted to. I really, really wanted to. So I fasted the whole month, and I felt different. First, I lost weight, which was kind of cool. I lost 9 pounds off of fasting, doing what I was supposed to do. I felt happier. I felt more peaceful. I felt enlightened. And I'm like, I really like this. So I started dabbling even more into Islam, learning different things. But I felt like I was trying to learn everything about Islam instead of just giving my life to God again, giving my life to Allah. And so I kind of just, for about 4 to 5 months, I kind of just, after fasting, I realized that I wanted to continue on this path, that this was the way that God was coming to me and revealing himself to me. I would have questions and he would show it to me, and it would be through Mufti Meek. Everything that I had questions about, God would send me videos or randomly send me information that was on the topic that I wanted to know more about. So I just felt like God was really showing me the truth. And recently, my son, who is 5 years old, he found this book. Actually, let me back up because I'll tell this in a second. But so shortly after that, I went back to Morocco. We got married, and I felt this sense of peace when we went to the mountains. And it was after I heard the call to prayer, and just everything just made sense to me. Like, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. This is what Allah wants me to do. Which, sorry, it's kind of still, I have to get used to calling him Allah, which, everybody goes through, I'm sure, when they transition. But Allah reminded me that he was there, he was present in many ways. And he kept showing me and blessing me with, like, the month after I fasted, or I would get, all kinds of things were happening. I'm not going to go into details, but it was just blessing after blessing after blessing after blessing. And I was like, okay, God, Allah, I'm jumping all in. I want to do this. This is going to be my life from here on out. So I went to the Imam because I still had questions that were trailing in my mind of, some things that I still wanted to know, and I needed to go talk to somebody. I'm in a small town. There's not a big mosque here, but I really needed to go talk to an Imam. So I did. I went to the mosque, and it's a really small mosque here in Pensacola, but it's kind of cute. It's just nice to even have one. But I went and I met with him, and he answered every single question that I had. And we talked for 2 hours, and he just made it all very clear to me. And I didn't have any more questions after that. So that day I took my Shahada in October, and I guess the rest is history. But I'm still learning a lot about Islam and everything, all the information I need to know. But I felt like in the beginning I was trying to learn everything, and you don't have to. You just gotta surrender to Allah, and that's what I've been doing. And He keeps showing up and showing Himself to me every day. And recently, I'm going to bring this up because this book here is what the Imam gave me, how to make wudu and salat, which I'm still learning a lot about this. But I started to pray and learn how to pray every day, 5 times a day, and, you know, things that I need to do as a Muslim woman. But this picture on the front, my son found this book in the closet, and he brings it to me, and he's 5 years old. He brought it to me, never seen a picture of this in his entire life. He brought it to me and he said, "Mom, I found it." And I said, "What did you find?" And he said, "God's house." And I looked at him and I said, "How did you know that was God's house?" Now, mind you, I don't know anything about the Kaaba like that in detail yet. So this was a few weeks ago. He said, "Mom, it's God's house." And I said, "How did you know this was God's house?" And he looked at me and he goes, "We've been there before." And then, of course, he's 5, so he goes on to something else. And for me, I had to figure out what that was about. So I do feel like children are more spiritually inclined than we are. And so later, not even 3 hours later, God sends me a link about Abraham and Ishmael and the building of the Kaaba. And in that, it said that he built this and it was to be called the house of Allah. And it wasn't just another revelation of, you know, God is really showing me that this is the truth and this is what we need to be doing. And since that day, I have been wanting to do everything that I am supposed to do. And sometimes it's not easy. You know, I'm in a transition right now, and it's hard to leave behind your old self and come to a new self. But I know that I am absolutely doing the right thing, and there's a heaven and there's a hell, and God wants us, Allah wants us to do what He wants us to do. And I feel so much joy in my soul than I've ever had before. I've never felt this happy. And I know Satan still tries me because I am reaching towards Allah, and that's it. That's all I want in my life right now, is to be happy, do what Allah wants me to do. And Satan comes and tries to throw, you know, rocks at me, basically, you know, and pull my feet from under me a lot. And, you know, that reminds me to get on my knees and bow to Allah. And I wanted to, you know, I also, in the beginning, I started listening to the Quran. I didn't even know what it meant or anything. I started listening to it, and I would get up in the morning and start listening to it while I was doing my makeup for work. And it was just so peaceful. And I found so much peace. And that was it. I just found peace. And I love that. I've never been this peaceful in my life. And I do thank my husband, Sofian, for being a positive example of a Muslim man and how a Muslim man is supposed to be, because I had these fears of, you know, what he might be like. You know, that's why I had to go dig for his religion, which I didn't know at the time. It was because Allah was calling me to Islam. And it was because my husband was being a good example. And I appreciate him for that and all of the things that he's done so far. But if you are on this journey and you're confused or you don't know, I am encouraged to talk with you about, maybe it's not Islam, but there, maybe you need help in finding out what that role is. And I could help you either find some information or find out more information about Islam. And I don't know everything. I'm not claiming to know everything, but I can definitely point you in the right direction. And I would love for everyone to know about Islam and the truth about Islam and the beauty of Islam. I just kept feeling like it was the purest religion. And I haven't wanted anything else. And I am very thankful that Allah has saved my life and Islam saved me. And I am very happy to continue on with this journey, and things are changing. I'm changing, but in a good way. And I am very happy about that. And I couldn't be more excited to learn everything about Islam. I cannot wait to go to Mecca. That would be amazing. Or just to be in a real mosque. I would love to go to a bigger mosque and be able to pray. And I find peace in praying throughout the day. I have had challenges with trying to find the time and things like that, or not find the time, excuse me, but missing the time because I'm in American culture where we don't pause for that. So that has been a challenge for me to making that a priority. And lately I have started to wear the hijab, which I will continue making videos about that because I'm learning how to wear it. And I only bought one black one. I started off with black, but that's a whole nother topic, which I learned about in Islam, that, I grew up with this mentality that the women were forced, and no, we weren't. We're not forced to, which Allah is revealing to me. It is a choice. And well, here for me, for most women, it is a choice. I will say that there are some countries that it's not a choice and that's unfortunate, but it is meant to be a choice. And between, Allah and us, or Allah and the woman. And, but it does reveal that we are to cover our hair when we're in worship. It does mention that in the Bible. And for some reason, I'm learning more about Jesus in the Bible now, reverting to Islam, than I ever did growing up in church. I learned the fairy tale stories. I'm sorry, not fairy tale stories. They're stories. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it like that, but I learned the stories, but there was never any in-depth teaching to me. And I am going back through the Bible now and learning through the Quran now. And I just feel very enlightened, and I don't know what my role or my purpose is in this world, but if I even brought one person to Islam just to know like how great it is, and just to dig a little deeper and find information for yourself, that would be a blessing for me. So I won't talk too much anymore. That was a lot to take in, but I am, on this journey, and I'm very excited about it. And I will talk more about it in other videos. And I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.